Prepare yourselves, every pony! Winter is coming!
Okay, for curiosity's sake, what is everyone's issue about Twilight implying that winter is coming? I don't watch Game of Thrones. Really? You're gonna tease me like that? Why am I not surprised that I'll be getting comments like these in the future? Okay, first thing, welcome back, Cindy Morrow. Nice seeing you on the show again. Secondly, there's been a bit of an obstacle about something I was under the pressure of. One of the following issues I have within the show is whenever a character makes another character cry or antagonize them, not just for comedic reasoning, but in general. I said more than enough about Pinky's insensitivity towards Fluttershy and Philly Vanilli, and there's already a controversial moment that happened in Putting Your Hoof Down. Even though I don't have as much of an issue with that episode, I am with Mr. Enter on that. The reason being is because it goes against the show's welcoming atmosphere that's been carried throughout the show by making the characters unlikable by their actions. There have been moments that fail to carry that welcoming feel in many other ways, but this one to me has been the most crucial over the years. With this mentioned, what does this have to do with the episode Tanks for the Memories? Well, I prepared this in advance so that I can talk about what I'm challenged with more down the line. Another thing I want to say is, I love this episode. It's already become one of my favorite episodes this season, but it took some time for me to appreciate it because of what I felt in that later half. And having acknowledged that and what the intentions are pays off the episode rather well. We start off with Winter arriving as Dash is spending time with her pet Tank. While daydreaming the many fun times that she'll be having with him over winter, she finds out that he's preparing to hibernate. This doesn't please Dash at all since it takes away all of what she had a lot to look forward to with him. From the start, I just love the fact that the writers finally gave some screen time with Tank. The last episode I saw was just for sidekicks, an episode I'd rather not talk about. One of the other following things worth mentioning is how this episode gives a nice callback to Season 1, Winter Wrap-Up and Fall Weather Friends. Also, Cloudsdale can move. That's something I don't see very often. In fact, watching how the weather is worked is something I haven't seen in a long time. I can see snow clouds being carried and brought to Ponyville. Such world building for the win. And funny enough, unicorns are using their magic to help Winter. Well, so much for that whole traditional excuse that the episode Winter Wrap-Up had 4 seasons ago. Dash later tries to get Tank to be more active, and thus she stumbles upon her friends who are all telling Dash once again that she is preparing to hibernate. When attempting to level with her, Dash gets pissed off.
Who said anything about anger? I didn't say anything about anger! I'm not upset, and I am not angry! Do I look angry?
And another new meme is born. Frustrated, Dash takes Tank home and thinks things over. She then has an idea. Dash decides that in order to keep Tank, she has to keep him warm in weather. In doing so, she goes to do something inhumane. Sabotage Winter. In addition, we get a song about Dash's passion for Tank. I'll Fly.
And I'll fly, until the end of the sky. So I'll be the one who doesn't have to say goodbye.
I'm going to be honest and say that I wasn't too big on the songs this season. In Our Town did what it needed to do and what it was going for with the village, but the song was just mildly amusing to me. Make This Castle a Home was just okay, Applejack's A Lullaby sounds nice, and I don't know if that would count as an actual song or not. All that said, I'll Fly is so far my favorite song this season. It's catchy, full of energy and emotion. The only downside are the lyrics, which gives a bad message. Arguably though, that's the point considering that it's what helps the narrative. Still, the song got stuck in my head for a while now. However, as Dash tries to take away Winter, more snow and clouds are made, so she then decides to take it out on the factory in Cloudsdale. Of course, things easily backfire. I've heard some complaints that Dash was never punished when attempting to damage the factory. To some level, I can agree, but it doesn't bother me that much, and here's why. Unlike Diamond Tiara, who got off scot-free when tormenting a disabled child for her own good, Dash is desperate on behalf of her pet. She's dealing with having Tank be away for an unknown period of time. In a way, it's grief. It's a difficult situation that she's never encountered before, and she's refusing to face it because it shows how much she cares for him. There may not have been much screen time with Tank throughout the entire series, but in the back of our minds, we love our pets. That alone connects. Still, it doesn't excuse what Dash's intentions are, but then I found it understandable on a high level. And on top of that, her silly mishaps backfire, and in one blow from the factory to Ponyville, winter is finished. And there's once again karma done better. With no other options left, Dash lays with Tank on her bed at home feeling downhearted. The main six pay a visit to comfort her, and nothing works. That is until Fluttershy steps in.
Rainbow Dash, your winter is going to be petless.
And this roots back to what I stated early on in the review. In a Skype call with Keyframe, Eliora, and a few others, I was in a heated discussion about Fluttershy's actions. In a nutshell, I unleashed everything I could argue against on a moral level to the point where I finally gave in. And I did this on purpose because I heard other reviewers appreciating what Fluttershy did, and I was getting desperate to be convinced. In case you haven't noticed about my past experiences, I intend to learn things the hard way by this very sense of desperation. But instead of committing a moronic act in public, I did this privately. And here's where it pays off. Out of all the scenes where characters made others cry, Fluttershy was in the right on this occasion.
Whatever did you do that for? Because she'll never get past this until she lets it all out.
Throughout the episode, Dash completely brought this mess all on herself. She refused to believe by what her friends told her in a very disrespectful manner and attempted to sabotage a factory that was for the good of Equestria's environment. They tried to be nice to her and it didn't work, so there was no other options left. As other reviewers pointed out, this stems back to It Ain't Easy Being Breezy's when Fluttershy had to step in her role, where you sometimes have to take assertiveness to your own hooves. And trust me when I say that it's really hard for me to admit that overall. And in doing so, it put more weight on my feeling on the episode. At the moment where Dash was in tears, I felt like joining that group hug the main six were doing. As I said before, I appreciate Cindy Morrow's work throughout the level of emotions that she executes very well on. In Season 2, she stole the show with Sister of Social and Hurricane Fluttershy being my favorite episode to this day. Now this moment does get a little silly at times, such as when Pinkie addresses Applejack crying from the inside and so on. But on a general whole of the scene, I find the emotional level done very well. Thus, Dash accepts what Tank has to do, and the final scene embraces with no moment to spare. And this is why it's one of my favorite episodes. Its humor is spot on, the callbacks are a nice touch, the song is awesome, and it overall is an episode that is well in depth upon speculating. This is an episode that managed the tackle on grief, but it plays its theme down several notches by not having any character getting killed off. Back when I reviewed Apple Family Reunion, I talked about Applejack's parents never getting mentioned. I was informed afterwards that Hasbro wouldn't allow it as it was death that was being played in, and was too much for a child to take in, so to speak. Here, what the staff did was very risky, but it overall pays off what they were able to articulate and work around Hasbro's practices. Season 5 so far is on fire. I can't see how this could go wrong. Oh yeah, that's going to be an episode that won't be pretty to talk about. Until then, I'm GoldenFox, and I'll see you all next time.
Skippy, what's the name of that group playing on stage?
Who?
The name of the group.
Who?
The group on stage.
Who?
The group playing on stage.
Who?
You're starting to sound like an owl, Skippy.
Who's on stage?
That's what I'm asking.